The day the billionaire's twin daughters broke their last caretaker, the mansion fell silent in a way that felt dangerous, like the quiet before a storm that never ends. Not the kind of silence that brings peace, but the kind that presses against the chest and reminds everyone inside those marble walls that something precious had been lost and something broken was growing sharper by the hour. The girls stood at the top of the staircase with matching faces carved from grief and fury, eyes too old for their young age, while another adult packed their bag and fled with shaking hands. No one noticed the janitor mopping the far hallway, his back bent, his shoes worn thin, his life already heavy enough to sink most men. No one imagined that the impossible would begin with him. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and quiet heroes who change lives without asking for applause, take a moment right now to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel. Stories like this live because people like you choose to believe they matter. The billionaire who owned the mansion had built empires out of numbers and nerve, but he had failed at the one thing money could not solve. His twin daughters had lost their mother in a sudden accident that tore a hole through the center of the family and never closed. Since then, tutors came and went, nannies resigned in tears, therapists made notes and shook their heads, and security staff learned to keep their distance. The girls were not cruel by nature, but grief had sharpened them into something unmanageable. They refused lessons, destroyed routines, and tested every boundary as if daring the world to abandon them again. Their father, drowning in work and guilt, believed the problem was professional. He believed the right expert would fix it. He did not understand that love does not arrive wearing credentials. The janitor, whose name was Adam, arrived before dawn every morning. He scrubbed floors that reflected chandeliers like trapped constellations and emptied bins full of luxury without ever touching it. He was a single father himself, raising a small son in a narrow apartment where the windows rattled and the walls listened. He had learned to stretch meals, patience, and hope until they almost tore. His wife had passed away after a long illness that burned through savings and left him with a quiet house and a child who woke at night calling for a mother who would never come back. Adam did not speak much at work. He worked hard, kept his head down, and carried grief like a second spine. He noticed the twins long before anyone noticed him. He saw how they flinched at raised voices, how they avoided rooms that still smelled faintly of their mother's perfume, how their anger spiked whenever someone tried to control them instead of understanding them. He saw it because he had lived it. Grief recognizes grief even when it wears expensive clothes, unbreaks. He watched from a distance as the girls unraveled another adult's confidence with silence, with sudden outbursts, with that terrifying emptiness that children learn when the world teaches them loss too early. The change began without permission or announcement. One afternoon, after another staff member quit, the twins wandered into a rarely used wing of the mansion where Adam was cleaning. There was no plan, no intervention, no heroic pose. There was only a man wiping dust from a forgotten piano bench and two girls who had run out of places to hide. Adam did not scold them. He did not ask questions. He kept working, steady and unbothered, as if their presence did not frighten him or require him to perform. In that ordinary calm, something cracked open. Over the following days, the girls returned. They sat on the floor while Adam worked. Sometimes they made messes on purpose. Sometimes they stayed silent. Adam never raised his voice. He never threatened consequences he could not keep. He simply cleaned again and again, showing them that mistakes did not make people disappear. When they tried to provoke him with chaos, he responded with patience that came from nights spent soothing a crying child with nothing but time and tenderness. He did not try to be their father. He did not try to fix them. He gave them something rarer. He gave them consistency. The mansion staff noticed first. The twins stopped destroying rooms. Their tantrums shortened. They slept better. The billionaire noticed later, in small ways that unsettled him. His daughters began eating more. They lingered in common spaces. They stopped bracing themselves when footsteps approached. He asked questions. He received reports that made no sense. There was no new program, no expensive hire, No breakthrough therapy. There was only the janitor. Adam's influence deepened quietly. He shared his lunch without ceremony. He brought simple board games from home and left them in a closet the girls had claimed as a refuge. He showed them how to fix a loose table leg, how to fold paper into boats, how to clean a spill without shame. In teaching them how to mend small things, he taught them that the world could be put back together in pieces. He never spoke of their mother, but he did not avoid her memory either. When they found an old photograph and held it like a wound, Adam stayed nearby, present without prying, strong without intrusion. The twins began to mirror him. They followed him on his rounds, helping clumsily, learning the dignity of work that asked nothing in return. They learned that care could be quiet, that love could be reliable, that adults could stay. The staff whispered that the impossible was happening. The children who could not be handled were handling themselves. The billionaire, shaken and ashamed, finally sought Adam out. He watched from a distance as his daughters laughed softly while polishing a brass railing. Their movements synchronized, their shoulders relaxed. He saw something he had not seen since before the accident. He saw peace in that moment. Power meant nothing. Money meant nothing. He saw his failure and his hope standing side by side, wearing the same worn shoes. When Adam was called into the office, he expected reprimand. He expected rules. He did not expect gratitude. He did not expect an offer that could change his life. But Adam did not ask for more money or a new title. He asked for time. He asked to keep doing what he was doing. He asked for permission to bring his son to the mansion sometimes, to show the twins that families can look different and still be whole. It was not a demand. It was a request shaped by humility. The transformation accelerated. Adam's son arrived on weekends, shy and observant, a mirror to the twins' own guardedness. The children found common ground in loss and resilience. They built forts out of sheets and repaired broken toys. They learned that sadness did not have to isolate them. The billionaire watched his daughters teach another child the rules of a game. Their voices gentle, their patience learned from a man who cleaned their floors. Challenges did not vanish. Grief does not obey schedules. There were setbacks, storms of anger, nights when old fears resurfaced. But now there was a net. Adam showed them that falling did not mean failing. He showed them that being strong sometimes meant asking for help. He showed them by example, by showing up every day even when his own heart ached. The world outside the mansion began to change too. The twins returned to school. They smiled in photographs. They stopped being a problem to solve and became people to know. The billionaire changed as well. He began leaving work earlier. He learned his daughter's routines. He learned how to sit with discomfort instead of fleeing it. He learned from a janitor what no boardroom had ever taught him. The offer came eventually, formal and life-altering, a permanent role, a salary that could lift Adam and his son out of survival. But Adam's acceptance came with conditions rooted in care rather than pride. He wanted to remain grounded. He wanted the work to stay human. He wanted the girls to know that he chose them, not the paycheck. The billionaire agreed, humbled by the clarity of a man who had lost everything and still refused to lose himself. As the seasons turned, the mansion felt less like a museum and more like a home. Laughter echoed where echoes used to linger. The twins grew taller, stronger, steadier. They learned that love could be earned by presence and protected by patience. Adam's son flourished, surrounded by a family that expanded without replacing what had been lost. Grief softened into memory, sharp edges rounded by time and care. Near the end of this story, as the camera of imagination pulls back, it becomes clear that the impossible was never about handling difficult children. It was about holding space for pain without trying to erase it. It was about a man with nothing to prove and everything to give. It was about choosing kindness when cruelty would have been easier, choosing patience when authority would have failed. If this story touched your heart even a little, please take a moment now to like the video, share it with someone who believes in quiet miracles, and subscribe to the channel so more stories like this can find the people who need them most. Before the ending, we have a special request for you. Please comment below with one word that describes how this story made you feel. Your words help this message travel further than we ever can alone. In the end, the billionaire learned that wealth could build walls but only love could build bridges. The twins learned that their pain did not make them unlovable. Adam learned that the smallest acts, repeated with faith, could reshape lives. And somewhere in a mansion once ruled by silence, a janitor proved that the impossible does not arrive with fanfare. It arrives quietly, carrying a mop, a steady heart, and the courage to stay.